All right, everyone, and with that, hello and welcome to our very first podcast on this channel. I am Bewyoshi, or Felix, as you normally know me as well, your resident streamer and caster on this channel overall, and tonight also going to be your moderator for this lovely podcast. The first one in its series, there will be more coming, but tonight I think it's good to start with the story behind the AGC, and who else better to tell this incredible story than the one and only Kate. Hello, Kate. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, hey everyone, hey Felix. Pleasure having you with me for our very first podcast. I must say, Felix, I'm a little bit excited today. It's different than our tournaments, I would say.
It most definitely is. I mean, it's the first time we're doing this. We had a couple of interviews, I think, in the past, or podcast style events. If you remember, all the way back the Dota event, that's the closest one I can imagine. But still, this is the first time we're doing this in this setup, so I'm excited to see how this is going to go. And also for anybody wondering how these podcasts are normally going to look like, we will have a specific topic, like today, just getting started with the story of the AGC. How did it all come to be? What is the entire foundation behind all of these events that you've seen over the past 2 years, 2+ years, actually, it's even longer. And going forward, we'll always have a specific topic. We'll always have specific speakers who are well versed in that specific topic. Like, for example, Kate. I mean, who better than the community lead to present today? And we're just gonna have a bit of interesting points of asking the questions that we think of, and also, and this is the cool point for you guys, getting your questions on the specific topic. So if you have a question related to AGC, a question for Kate today, write it into the chat. I'm looking into it right now. I also see that you like the clothing matching, and we will answer the questions that you have. So anything that comes to mind to any time that we are in the stream, feel free to let me know, and I will pass it over to Kate respectively.
Yeah, so hey all, you already know me quite well. I'm Kate, or also known as Katrin Menke, my official name. With Accenture now since 4 years. Actually, I'm an IT consultant at Accenture Technology. Specifically, I'm in the workplace area, and my official job is not doing gaming. It's actually a hobby. But actually, I'm doing workplace migrations. So, for example, if a company buys another company, so usually the IT infrastructure needs to be built up, and I'm usually the one who's planning and doing the coordinations of the Microsoft account migrations, and also that laptops and desktops have the new company image on it, so that the users are in the new environment. So you can imagine it a little bit as a IT moving company, basically going to the house of a son, picking all the stuff that needs to be packed, and then moving it into his new apartment. So you can imagine it a little bit that way. But of course, Accenture has much more to offer. We're a very huge company with more than 700,000 employees. And we not only do cloud and infrastructure, but we also have Accenture Song, strategy and consulting. So it has various areas. If you want to find out more about it, Google Accenture and dive into this world. But the podcast today is not about Accenture. It's about the Accenture Gaming Community. And we want to actually give you the chance that you understand the history, because so far you have been part of it. You have made it a living and vibrant community. But everyone so far is so curious to understand how this whole thing has developed and how it has become so big. So that's why we said, hey, come on, let's do this podcast. Let's start it with this story behind AGC and the driving force behind it, to give you a better understanding. And later on, actually, our purpose with the podcast is to bring the Accenture world closer to the gaming world and vice versa. So we will have interesting topics around, for example, game development and AI, where we have our Accenture colleagues on board as well. stay tuned for that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you touched on a very important point today, and I think let's go right into that one already. Because, as you said, we've been doing this for a long time, or especially you've been doing this for a long time when it comes to gaming, especially now within Accenture. And just, as you said, this has become such a huge topic. And I think most of you might not even be aware how big. So we wanted to bring you these numbers. I think you, especially Kate, wanted to bring these numbers to really show what kind of impact this has been and how far we have gotten within the last 3+ years of being where we are now. Just looking at these numbers right here, we're actually with Twitch even now going towards the 800 followers. So I think we're eight followers away actually today.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and this is also thanks to you, Felix, that you have taken this initiative and to really drive the streams. But yes, we have grown actually quite far. And sure, I mean, I gave you now the number that we are 700,000 employees. So very valid question, why aren't we bigger? But later on, you will understand where we came from. It was bottom-up development, actually. So with a lot of nice people who were gamers by themselves, who have a passion for the topic, together with them we actually drove it to something bigger and actually managed to bring in something of a gaming culture into Accenture as well. But yeah, we are about 2,000 people in Discord, and it's not only Accenture colleagues, it's actually also friends, family members, and also other people who wanted to join our Discord, our lovely community, and as well due to other activities that we're doing, like AHL and so on, and then they decided to stick with us, which makes us happy. But also internally, we are not too far away from the number. We are around 1,500 people there now. So this is growing and growing. And yeah, and it keeps on growing globally. So yeah, makes me very happy to see this actually.
Yeah, fully with you. But now, of course, the interesting question comes. We've looked at where we are. We've looked at how much this thing has grown already. And of course, with the trend going even further. But let's wind back the clocks, really. How did this whole thing start? I mean, we all know the events, the amazing events we've done now, the awesome tournaments, streams, everything. It's all great now. But where did it really start? How did this begin? I mean, you've been there from day one. Please enlighten us.
Yeah, so now I feel like a grandma telling a story. Yeah, so basically it all started 4 years ago in Düsseldorf at the location where I was based at back then. The community there, it was not a gaming community. They did great initiatives like sports events, Friday bars, just to have something to connect with the other colleagues and to have fun together, basically. And this is what Accenture does a lot for its culture and for its employees. Yes, sure, we work a lot, but we also have a lot of activities where we can build relationships and have just fun together. And I was like, hey, this is so great. Accenture is a IT consulting firm. There must be something for gamers, right? And the answer was no. So I was a bit shocked.
I feel that one so much. Sorry, I feel that one way too much.
Yeah, so I was completely a bit surprised. And so my first counselor back then said, hey, I mean, he was driving that thing back then in Düsseldorf. And he asked me, hey, don't you want to start it? And I was like, okay. So I was asking around who wants to actually help me with this because I was completely new. I didn't know anybody there. And so I found very nice guys. The first name was also Rene, and the second guy's name was also Timo, but both had other things to do. The other person also left the company in the meantime. And we said, okay, let's make something bigger out of it. The one person who was coming, it was actually Rene Tyron, who's still with us. He actually always wanted to drive it more from a sales perspective. He's also in the sales team. But I always believe that if Accenture ever is considering to do something with the games industry, it should live within the company. And this is why I always focus more on the community part. So and was basically our setup, and we started actually the community shout out with the Mario Kart tournament in 2019 in the Düsseldorf office. And it was a huge success. The people loved it. A lot of young people came, and colleagues actually afterwards thanked me for organizing this together with René and Timo back then, because there was life back in the office.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to do actually much more with it. We wanted to organize an esports tournament. We had actually with Take TV, and we had everything in place, and then COVID hit us.
Yeah, I mean, that was, while it was also a point that, of course, was very, very tough for anyone involved, I think for the gaming community it was something interesting, because, I mean, looking at gaming, it's not something where you get lost just because you can't meet in person anymore. You can actually just still meet online, and it's still something where people get connected, and I think that's how this community also had a chance to well, endure, I would imagine.
Absolutely. And Felix, I'm very sorry. We're gonna put this off now.
You're not a fan of this?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable like this. It's a different setup.
Well, I would do the same just to plug our merch. We have it. No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
like that.
No, okay.
Yeah, but it was a tough time, right? So all of a sudden there was COVID,
Yes.
and we were like, what are we gonna do now? So at some point I was like, well, guys, it's gaming. Anyways, sure, you have your LAN parties, but we do everything remotely.
Yeah.
So let's do a remote session, and we called it Virtual Game Night. So that's how the Discord happened to be. And thanks to the help of our employer branding team, I was able to send out that communication within Austria, Switzerland, and Germany. And all of a sudden, more people came. And our very first game was actually Age of Empires 2, I believe. And it was hilarious. I'm like, my main game is Counter-Strike, and back then it was even worse. I didn't play anything else. And then there was this Age of Empires, so I started playing it, and I was completely lost.
So you were in Age of Empires, you were like, where's my AWP? Where is it? I need it.
I was so lost, and I remember I was in this corner of the map, and the others had their fights and civil wars going on. And then all of a sudden they were like, yeah, we are done. And I was still like doing my farming stuff and things like that, and I was like, huh, what's happening? And they're like, yeah, we are done, this guy won. I was like, I didn't get attacked.
Like, so I was just there chopping wood, that's all I did.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, so that was my story of Age of Empires 2. And then Tom Leah approached me, and he said, hey, can you tell me more about what you're up to? Because I think this is great. And so Tom came into place and basically helped me and helped also the team. I mean, back then it was just me, Timo, Ty, Tommy, and I think Ibo, who were at the start with us. And yes, and then we made a plan. Basically listed down what we need to do to make it bigger, and Tom helped to open some doors. And at some point then Jürgen Pinker, the former tech lead from ASG, supported this initiative, and so this is how we basically got started. And then Felix Kolutzinski, our former employer brand lead from ASG, he asked me, I mean, he was also from the start with us, supporting us so that we can do the little events. But then, and this is where the ball got rolling, I remember very well when he approached me, he was like super nervous, like typical Felix. And it's like, hey, Kate, do you want to do something cool, but maybe risky? And I said, well, what's the matter, and he was like, hey, do you guys maybe want to do an esports tournament? And it was exactly, Felix, you also joined in back then.
Yeah.
And we were kind of thinking, hey, actually we should do something with recruiting, but we didn't know how, right? Because we also didn't have the funding. We didn't really understand how to approach this, because we were also inexperienced within Accenture as well.
Yeah.
So we started already to think, hey, can we collaborate with universities? And then in that moment, Felix came in and he asked, hey, do you guys want to do an esports tournament? And I was like, yes, of course. And this is how actually the Accenture Gaming League was born. We all came together as a team, set up this whole concept around it, and then did it.
Yeah,
and it was a huge success.
I mean, I think all of us, when we started envisioning how this was going to look like, and also started to actually push it forward, we never expected the result of it, where it went. We basically, of course, had the hopes of it, but that it actually went through the way it did, I don't think anybody could have ever imagined it. And just before we go any further, the quick answer to you, Fireball, in the chat, and also everyone, hello in the chat once again. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, y'all.
Please send your questions in the chat whenever you have them. I'll either try to fit them in and try to poke Kate a bit with those questions whenever it fits, or otherwise, as you said at the end, or as you rightly suggested, at the end, if there's any open questions that I couldn't fit in, I'll note them down so it won't be forgotten. So also, Vivi, I've seen your question. It's not forgotten. I just know where to put it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take this. This is also for you. Get to know us better. So ask us whatever you want, and we hope we can answer everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, Felix.
And I mean, you've touched on a very important point, but I just want to deep dive a bit more into that one, just as a quick question, because as you said a lot, like it happened in Düsseldorf. For me, it happened in around Frankfurt. In all these little hubs, you had the starting points, sometimes more like with Düsseldorf as the key driver, but also in Frankfurt, that's how I got into it, basically seeing the point of, well, we want to do something with gaming. As you said, COVID hits, so it's the best thing to do when you're in a virtual environment is to get people together in game. For example, like you did with Age of Empires, just trying out a brand new game that you've never even tried before, but just getting to know people on a, let's say, fun basis. But when did really this shift for you come, that you said, okay, it's not enough to do this as just a part of another hub, but really say this is now its own community, let's really start a community? You've touched a bit on saying we have a Discord, for example, but what was that? Is there this one key point, let's put it this way, that really made you think, okay, now is the time to go for a gaming community, to decide to make your own thing?
Yeah, the idea of going beyond the Düsseldorf hub was already there since the start, basically. I remember when me and Renee actually drew the vision chart, and I still have it, where we want to end up, right? And when the turn, and it was a dream, so we kind of worked towards it, and COVID helped with it, not gonna lie. But the turning point came when I really saw the potential behind it, and also the team standing behind it, was after the first AGL, and especially after we won the awards for AGL. But this is also where I noticed, okay, the team is really standing behind it. Before that, and especially during AGL, everyone was nervous. We were tapping into the dark non-stop because we weren't sure, will it gonna work or will it not gonna work, but we did our very best to make it work. But after it, once everyone saw the success, everyone became a V12 engine all of a sudden, and kept on going. Everyone brought in the ideas, what we can do, and this is how it expanded, and everyone got a bit its own role. And sure, we had our hiccups, and since it's a hobby for all of us, right? Project life comes in between, so things were dipping again a bit, which we're now trying to change. But I see this all the time. Sometimes we are tapping in the dark, things are not progressing as fast and easy as we would like it to be. But as soon things are progressing, be it now with our new design, be it with other activities such as Niku driving the Teams topic, now you with the streams, and we see things are progressing. There is life in the community. You guys are surprising me all the time over again, because I see there is this passion behind it. You guys want to push. And remember that we sometimes had discussions where even I said, okay, shall we take it one step back? But then you came in and said, no, we're going to fight for it now. And this is the best feeling I have. And I think anyone who's driving something like this similarly can have, because this brings motivation and to say, okay, now we really go this path.
Yeah, and I mean, that's also, as you said before, it's a lot of points where we, let's say, also had discussions in the background, so it wasn't always smooth sailing, especially when I think about the first AGL, the evenings we had of just sitting here trying to figure out what we do now. But at the end we made it work. And
I remember. I remember
amazing.
These lengthy discussions until the middle of the night, and it will not work.
I can promise you, I can tell you one word, and you'll immediately have all the flashbacks again. Point system. Point system. That's all I need to say.
Point system.
I remember we had endless
the point system was magic. I still, it was amazing. When I had some kind of PhD thesis in front of me about the point system, and I think a good game also remembers this stuff. It was fun. Well, it was fun, if you think about this now, it was just fun, but we learned a lot. And this is, I think, that the best part about this whole thing. We are all a young crew. We do our best. We try to get in the experience from more senior people to make it right. We are going a risky way. Also, if I think about our values, right, we always try to push it. We always try to bring in something new that hasn't existed here before. It's always a little bit risky, and we often tap into the dark, but we try to do it carefully. And it somehow, I don't know why, but it works out.
Yeah, and I mean, also one quick point, I keep saying one quick point. It's not a quick point, because it's I think the point that many people are asking themselves about before we actually go into. I see a question, Fireball, so don't worry, I'll get to that one. But one point we've always have to mention is, at the end of the day, we're a gaming community that's part of a company nonetheless. And how long did it really take for Accenture to say, yeah, we are committed? I mean, you mentioned with Jürgen, for example, being one of the people who showed commitment, who started to be behind this community and actually actively pushing it from also an Accenture side, who was not basically already a part of initially developing it. But how long did it really take for Accenture to say, we accept the fact that we have gaming as a part of it and really nourish it also to the way that it is now?
I'll go into that question, and afterwards I think we should dive into the question from Fireball.
Yeah, for sure. I have it written on the side. I won't forget it right away.
No, but it's actually a good thing.
It's a very good one.
It took some time. I think the acceptance started to come slowly after the first AGL.
Yeah.
I think this is why also AGL is so meaningful to us. I remember at the beginning it was super difficult. I remember that I had talks where people said, no, you're not allowed to open an esports channel because esports is not a sport.
I remember that one as well.
Yeah. And then later on, you always had several crowds, right? Some people, the gamers, of course, who said, awesome, amazing, finally something is here. Then you had a lot of people who said, like, what the hell, gaming? No, that doesn't fit to us, and etc. and so on and so forth. Why do we need to tackle this, more or less? And others were like, a bit like, keep on trying. Do it, but it will never ever get that big.
Yeah.
And I still know these people who said it, and I just keep on smiling. It's fine, right? It's something new, so people always look at it carefully. but I think it really came in when with the Discord, with the Twitch streams, and more people kept on asking for it, and it somehow made a name through various channels, and then other countries came in as well, asked how they can set up something similar, so we kind of try to help each other out, and then US came in, and and then the ball got rolling somehow.
Yeah, and I mean also one point that I always like to highlight when you say there's people who always had that, say there are hesitations to it. I love when I see faces of people from Accenture who initially said, maybe not gaming, it's not something for me, and I see them now at our Game On events, for example. This is something I love, because it also shows that with what has been done, and with also something that you've been driving with this topic now, we were able to change people's minds as well, and change people's perception of gaming as the classic people sitting in their cellars. I mean, I'm on the second floor, so I'm not really in a cellar. I don't own a cellar in this place. But technically, you would have this classic image of, okay, we're like the classic basement kids playing games, and that's it. And we kind of, I think, were able to change that vision of people, and also of gaming as an industry itself, and of the gamers behind it. And especially now mentioning the Game Ons, and I think that's the perfect point to go into the question with Fireball. What are the plans for the gaming part in general? So are we hosting any events? Do we have anything internal or external? Or something
I think
special
this
games?
is now a very good time to talk about our 3 dimensions, right? So what is actually the purpose of this community? Are we just doing tournaments? Are we just a group of folks who are coming together and have fun together? So what is the purpose of us actually? And it took us some time to put this together. So basically you can think about it in 3 dimensions. So one dimension is more for the internal part, where Accenture colleagues can connect globally, where they can find friends, but at the same time can pursue their passion. Be it with casual games or more esports like games, so League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Valorant, you name it. Then the second dimension is the collaboration with marketing. Yes, we do collaborate closely together with marketing, also to show, especially in ASG, that Accenture is more than just an IT consulting firm, because people out there know that IT consulting firms can be boring. That was the perception. And with gaming, we also show like, hey, no, it's not that. We are actually much more. We are a very innovative company. We are a modern company, and we do cool stuff like gaming and support our employees as much as we can, and support the interests. That's what I wanted to say. And the third dimension, as I touched on it a little bit at the beginning, is the business context. So the purpose of the community is not to do the business part, but at least to bridge it. Since we are out there, since we are quite well known out there already, to bring the Accenture world and the gaming world closer together, and especially through our podcasts, for example, that we touch on current topics, which are important for any kind of business, but as well as to gaming, actually to show these two worlds are not too far away from each other. And but we are also on panel discussions, since HR and our recruiting in gaming has become quite of a hot topic, also in Germany. And we are also part of exhibitions, of course, because of that. And now to support especially the Dimension 1 and Dimension 2 area, we organize game ons. So basically these are game nights at our offices. So for example, Düsseldorf, Munich, Kronberg, Zurich, Vienna, Jena, like in all the offices that we have, where people come together and for a night in the office and have fun. They play board games, they have Nintendo tournaments there and just have fun. And these game ons we will do also now together with students or external people who would like to come and get to know us better. In addition to that, we have other activities such as game online. So basically, these are casual, funny game nights on our Discord where anyone is welcome. So we play all sorts of games: League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Mario Kart, which was super fun last time.
Yeah,
And all sorts
Mario
of
Kart
things.
is an amazing game to also bring people together. I mean, it's also something that everyone can just join. That's one of the best points. Everyone can just join it. No, you don't need any real like knowledge of it before, and that's something that I think a lot of these events, especially like the game ons, make it special. You don't need any like you don't need to be the awesome Apex gamer or whatever. You could just love to play a card game like Uno, and you're also already welcome and can do something new.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other games that we do, of course, we do AGL once in a while, but we also have our ongoing tournaments. So we have League of Legends tournaments, we have Counter-Strike tournaments. Sure, they're not as professional as, for example, ESL is doing it, or Faceit is doing it alone, like I'm just talking now from a Counter-Strike perspective, but we are trying to get close to it. At the same time, to have more the community style to it. So to give people who are casual players also the chance to participate. And we constantly change up things. Sometimes we also just try out things just to test, and then the people are also aware of it. But yeah, this is what we do. So, and anyone can join. So people can sign up as teams. Yeah, at the beginning we just matched up the people, but then we said, the demand is there, so let's just have the team signed up, give them a name. They can also create a logo and things like that, and they like it quite a lot. And yeah, and then we have our esports teams, also not professional teams. Maybe we will get there hopefully at some point, but we have currently 3 teams in League of Legends, one well-known team who is also participating in Prime League. And now we have 2 new teams also now participating in Prime League. And let's see which one of the 3 are the better teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a cool point, because these ideas of going to the Prime League, going to create such an esport team, this is something that drives people's passions as well, that just has been born out of this community as well. Because looking at it, I never thought that in like 2 years ago, if you asked me, I would have never thought that I'd create my own streaming channel or be an active streamer anywhere or moderate a podcast or whatever. All the things that I'm doing, or casting tournaments in this scenario here, it's all thanks to the fact that we have such a community, that this has been built up. And for me, it has changed. Honestly, it sounds like the cliche statement. Everybody says this in those podcasts of like, oh, we have a story of what we've done and it changed my life. But it actually did. Like, it really did. Because my daily actual like routine now contains gaming on a regular basis. Whereas before it didn't. And it's also not gaming as in like I'm sitting here at home, I'm sitting alone and doing nothing. I'm actually getting connected with other people. I'm getting connected to people via Twitch or anything. So I think that's a cool point to highlight out of all of this, that it's not just a fun thing, but actually something that has brought a lot of value to a lot of people over time, and continues to do so regardless of whatever we do.
It absolutely did, but this is also, it becomes more and more of a project itself, but it is not a client project, right? So it has to be fun. Passion needs to stand behind it, because otherwise it will not be the same. And this is what I love about, in a safe environment you can experiment a bit, you can also try out things, right? And like what you did, and I remember very well the discussion we had, because you are part of theater plays and said you wanted to maybe quit it or not quit it, you weren't so sure what to do with it. So I said okay, and then you told me streaming becoming more and more fun for you. I was like, okay, then make it a theater for you. So I remember it, right? And then other people also tried out things they weren't really sure. maybe a bit anxious, and then it's just like, just try it out. And this is how it all became quite colorful, how I like to say it.
Yeah, fully. And I mean, it's especially one story I like to highlight a bit as well is we have, for example, Wabi as one of the streamers who was also in the Mario Kart stream, who had his own channel, then basically stopped because of time constraints. And with the AGC, you could really see that his fire for streaming was just ignited once again, and he just came back to the entire topic to the point where now, like every week, I talk to him about what should we do on the Twitch, what should we do, and it is amazing to me to see how, as you said it before during the AGL time, how we still see new people with more and more energy coming in and saying we want to help change, we want to help foster this environment, further push it forward, and it's just amazing to see, in my opinion. But also with that one question, how did we in fact grow so fast? What would you say is some of the key drivers that actually made us grow so fast to allow for this environment that we have now, for this inclusive place that we have developed within
You
the
know
community?
that there is a song called "We're Unstoppable Now."
I actually know that one. That's a good song.
It's such a good song, and whenever I get this question, I think about this song because it reminds me all the time of us. How did we grow so fast? It's a good question. Maybe we can bring up the value, and this will also explain how we have grown so fast. As it's also written here, we are pushing limits. We have a great dynamic. Yes, pushing it too, because I see opportunities, and then you know me, I'll just go for it. And convince you guys to come along, and thanks God you're coming with me, and more people are coming with me. But yes, we are pushing limits. We are, if somebody says no, we are like, okay, is there maybe an alternative way that we can take? And then we just keep on rolling, but always, as I said, carefully and with caution, and that it stays within the Accenture frame, right? Then the second thing is because of the people are in there, right? I think because people can be who they are in this community, and support each other and grow together as one, not the one unit. That's not the case, but just help each other, be there for each other, be supportive, and grow together. And I think this is how the community to some people became a living room, where they can just be in their comfortable Accenture world for internal people, but also for external people who just feel comfortable and welcomed. And I think this is what made it successful and big in the end, or bigger. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I mean, at the same point, especially this idea of all for one and one for all, and that I'll just show this here. This is the, let's say, full extent of what this has become. On the left side, we see pictures from the game on that Kate has mentioned. And on the right side, I think also later we have a special guest here as well, just to tease it a bit. From the recent event, the Clash of Agencies, where we also took part in. And I think overall, this has evolved into something that brings people together in ways that we've never even imagined. I mean, we see also Torge in the chat right now rooting for Hamburg, who's actually driving this from Hamburg. And it's just really, really great to see all the different areas of how this has tackled, or how this has touched people's lives, and changed also a bit how offices are being used. I mean, I never expected to play on my VR games, on my VR headset, some what's it called, some Five Nights at Freddy's in the middle of the office while being on a stage, and it happened. I did, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and it brings people together, all sorts of people, be it more senior people or being complete fresh first starters at Accenture. Yeah. It brings people together, and surely, as you already said, Felix, especially during AGL1, yeah, it wasn't always that smooth. It is still a task to motivate more people and to bring more awareness within Accenture. There's still a very long path to go, and I'm very, very glad that we get the support that we have. But there's still a lot of work ahead of us, and often this brings frustration, and for every person who's driving whatever they are driving. But it's not always that easy, and it's not always that fun. But still, you keep on going, because at some point, and that brings the motivation. You look at the Discord, you look at the people, and I mean, it even started that I'm sometimes strolling around the office, and all of a sudden somebody asks me, "Hey, aren't you Kate?" And I'm turning around and I'm like, "Yes." Do we know each other? I mean, it's not meant in a rude way, right? But it's and then they're like, "Yeah, gaming community," and it just warms my heart, right? And people enjoy it, and because people enjoy it so much, this really enjoys my heart. And everyone, right now with tournament Clash of Agencies, I could see the pride in Timo's eyes, right? And also for Tai. Sure, Tai was a little bit sad because they didn't make it into the finals with LOL, but still, these are the people who have been in the team since day one. They remember when there were only 6 people on that Discord, and they just look at it and they are just wow, and then they keep on going. And yes, we don't do this for us to have some crazy titles on the shoulders, but we do it for you, we do it for the community. And I think this is also another key value that shapes it.
Yeah, and I mean, from my perspective, I've also had these moments of people just going up to you and being like, "Hey, you're part of that gaming community, right? You're visible there," and it's fun to see how what seemingly is a hobby, or started as a hobby in many people's hearts, has had such an impact also on a business life, for example. I mean, I have one person in my team actually on the account where I'm working who I think every time we talk asks, "Wait, when's your next stream? When can we watch again? When can I see that again?" It's just amazing for me personally.
Yeah, it's just an appreciation of what you do, confirmation that you're doing the right thing. And
Exactly.
actually, that brings me to another funny story is, I was transferring offices, right? And so I had to return my laptop. So I was standing there and was daydreaming a little bit, and then John came along. And I only met John in the Discord, and that briefly, so I never met him in person. And all of a sudden he's like, "Are you or are you leaving?" or something like that. And I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "And what is happening to AGL?" And I was like, ay. Like, "No worries, we'll come."
Yeah, I think people got attached to it. That's the cool part about it.
Yeah.
Also going a bit into one of the other question we've gotten as well. And I think one point we've touched a bit on. I need to find another phrase for one point, by the way, just to mention it. I know that. But what else will we have here on the channel overall? I mean, we now have these podcasts starting, and there will be more. We'll also mention that at the end. But what else do we normally do on our Twitch channel? What do we normally do here?
Multiple things. No, we do.
We do at least 2 things. We at least do it. Okay.
I think this question is actually more for you, Felix. No, I'm just kidding. You can jump in.
I was about to say, I could add on it if needed.
Basically, we stream our tournaments. It was a bit meant as a TV for our community, so no big ideas behind it. But we streamed our tournament so that people can watch, and also friends of Accenture colleagues, or generally friends and family members, can watch. And then we decided to have more streams. So then, Felix, you started with your solo streams. Actually, before that, 2 years ago, we already had one podcast. in our innovation center in Essen,
Oh
which
yeah, I
was
remember that.
yeah, together with Stephanie Waschk, and we had an interesting talk about gaming and business and how big this gaming industry is. And I remember when she told me that sometimes surgeons play Counter-Strike before they start with an operation in order to be more awake. I was completely mind blown. But and this was very well received, and then we had to stop it, unfortunately, due to capacity reasons. But we said, okay, we bring it back now. We have to. But then you came with your solo streams, and then now at some point we started with the group streams. And yeah, so basically, yeah, and then of course AGL. But yeah, this is what we do on the Twitch.
Yeah, and I think that also will continue. We'll also have more and more content now, as you know, also seen a bit from the Sunday stream that we had last week. Yeah, actually, so much happening that I didn't even notice. But last week on Sunday, where we also are now going a bit cross the country borders, or also even across the globe, because we've actually found ways to also, well, be streaming at the same time with our colleagues from the US. So we actually have, for example, Baldur's Gate as a story stream that will continue. We have tournaments that will also continue both from our sides and from their side. And if anybody is curious to become a caster or anything, just reach out to me or to any of us in the channel. We're happy to get you guys involved as well. Just to mention it as well. Mike was a part of Mario Kart? Oh yeah, true. I remember that.
And we also have another very interesting question. Do you also have plans for game development?
Yeah, that was the next one I would have asked you.
Yeah, so I don't know, like if we as a community are doing some game development or Accenture overall. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would be a good point. I think I heard of a few people doing it, of course, in their hobbies. I mean, me as an own person, maybe to bridge the time before we get the clarification from, I think VVU asked the question. I see Torg also says there was one prototype in Hamburg. And for me personally, in private life, I've tried to do here and there a few points. But I think... Wait, you actually played it last week? Okay, that's cool, Torg. So actually, as you can see, some people of our community also already in the chat, able to support with such questions as well. So interesting to see the developments here. Because for me, actually, it's also a good point to know, are we actually going further in game development, so on? Because I think, as Torge rightly shows, there are a few initiatives that are doing it here and there, but let's see where it also goes. I think gaming is such a task with, let's say, so much variety, being the community side, being game development or anything else, that a lot more is still an uncharted territory, I would say, that we still haven't even touched on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that that some people are working on this business part, and I'm pretty sure there are people somewhere within Accenture who are developing some games, but we just don't know them yet or are aware of that yet. I'm pretty sure, or at least I wouldn't be surprised. And yeah, at some point, or there is already something happening, and then Torge has tried it out in Hamburg, whatever. But I'm pretty sure something is happening there in Accenture already, just not fully aware of this yet.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, as you previously said, we have such a large company. I think right now we're at 700,000 employees in this company, which is an insane number from my perspective. So there's still a lot more AGC MMORPG incoming. Well, only if there's a limited edition character for you, Lerox.
Yes.
That is something we need as well. But yeah, as said, I think there's a lot more to come out of this. And maybe that actually loops perfectly into one more question that I would have for you.
Yes, no, one question that I have for you.
Oh god.
Since
okay.
you're also now in the team for a longer time. What do you think made us bigger? And what were your experiences with it?
I think from my side, it's a very simple point, because as you said, or as I also touched a bit upon, we started basically in different hubs. We started in different areas of the world even, and just got together. And I think the key point that kept it together and that drove it forward, you've said it earlier as well, was the energy that people put into it. The time and effort people put into it, even as you rightly said, not being like fully employed to do gaming or so, but actually doing this all in their free time, saying we put in the work, we put in the hours, we don't really, for now, get anything out of it at the start, but we just do it because we want to, because it drives us, it's a passion of us. It's also what drives me on Twitch still to this very day, and I think everyone involved in the community to this very day who has supported it in the past, who supports it right now, always had this drive and always had this energy that they even went down until way into the night, had no issue streaming AGL or being a part of the casting AGL until after midnight, streaming 8 hours of League of Legends or whatever.
Till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. With like, I don't know, 5 coffees and 5 Red Bulls, but it doesn't matter. You still kept going because you wanted to drive it forward. And I think that was the key differentiator at the end of the day. That regardless of whatever setback we may have or whatever unclarity we may have, we always found a way to stick our heads together, to put in the time to thoroughly see what can we do with the opportunities that we have, and to really push it forward, push it to the next level, to say, okay, fine, what can we, how can we further improve this? How can we further envision an idea? And yeah, just be the best that we were, do this to the best of our abilities. That's what I wanted to say. And with that, bringing all these different people together to make this such an amazing environment. And I mean, there's a lot more people actually in the shadows to say. I mean, you always know the Orga team, you know the people, I think it's like a group of 15 to 20 people that usually sits together and sticks their heads together for like some like overarching Orga topics. But there's a lot more people. I see Fafta or Jules here in the chat who are always supporting. Jules always active on Twitch, for example. Fafta always supporting by being there for anyone who wants to play CS on a fun basis. I could highly recommend go into our Discord, check it out, and play with Fafta. He's an amazing guy. And I think that's just the point. We always were present. We always wanted to push it forward. We always wanted to make this change and make this difference, this impact with what we're doing with gaming. And that drive hasn't changed. Maybe the initial orientation, where we're going now, the different topics what we're working on has changed. But what drives us, this connection to gaming, never changed. And I think it never will, to a certain extent.
Yeah. And whenever we are like blocked or people like, okay, what are we doing next? I kind of feel, like Vicky and the strong guy, so I don't know how to translate this properly into English, but whenever she's like ending there like and sometimes I'm like, I have an idea. And sometimes you guys hate me for that, like I think I have another idea. So yeah, sometimes how I feel. Maybe we need to bind this somehow.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's also the cool idea. You have maybe 50 different ideas, but the cool part that comes around is, out of those 50 ideas, maybe we scrap 49, but we still have that one cool idea, like an AGL, like a CS tournament, like a Twitch stream that just was a nice idea of Mario Kart, and you had a couple of people involved that had fun for 2 hours. It always comes with that one spark, and the fact that this community has always been inclusive to, well, I don't think we've ever seen really, let's say, the country borders when we truly talk to other people. So I remember, for example, Code Vein that I streamed with Marina, who was back then still in Sweden. For me, it was never like, okay, I'm now streaming with someone from Sweden or from a different aspect of the world. It was like, I'm streaming with Marina as the person, and it's just fun. And it's always the point, regardless of who I talk to. Also the people from North America. Once again, the huge shout out to them, because I talked 2 times to them before we had the stream on Sunday, but it went all smoothly. It was a lot of fun to do this, just because at the end of the day, the common ground everyone has is gaming. And this passion to just play games together and not being afraid to be in a virtual environment.
Exactly. But I think, Felix, with that said, think it's time for a special guest star.
Yeah, I see him also in the chat already, so feel free to join any Discord voice channel. We will move you to the stream channel. And then it's time for Iron or Andrea to join us. And it's not Hans Sapa, no. It's a good idea, a classic.
Wait.
Point.
Iron. I said that Nico's not here now, but now we'll do it like in Clash of Agents. Iron. Bring him on.
Yeah. So as I said, just join any Discord voice channel. I need to move you because naturally to avoid anybody jumping into us. We're currently in our Discord actually, but you might not see us because we're hidden. We are in the shadows. So feel free to join any voice channel, create a new one, and I will move you over, Iron. In the meantime, maybe one question that we can do to bridge the time. We had it all the way at the start. It was the very first question asked in chat. And that's now the one to you, Kate. What is, you've kind of teased it, but what is your favorite game that you play and why?
It's Counter-Strike.
Okay, that was a bit on the nose, I'll be honest. That was a bit on the nose.
Honestly, I started playing at the age of 10 with sim racing, actually rally games. My dad, for some reason, bought a PlayStation, actually for me, and I wasn't asking for it back then, but he bought it anyhow. So I started playing rally games, and he very soon got me a steering wheel and pedals. And I have a very strong passion for driving overall. Like, my grandpa taught me driving when I was 8 at the field, and I just have an enormous passion for it. But then at the age of 20, I kind of came back and started playing World of Warcraft, and then I saw Counter-Strike. And don't ask me why, but I fell in love with the game. But unfortunately, back then, and I kind of regret it now, I didn't take it too seriously. I was busy with other topics. But I was playing arms race mostly. But now I wish I would have dedicated more time into practicing peaks, aim, and things like that. Because it would make life much easier for me now. But I'm doing this now, and I already saw quite of an improvement within the last half a year, so I just keep it up. But yeah, it will just stay my main game, and you know, Felix, what I want to reach in there. So you have to grind it. But sure. I started also to play other games here and there.
Expanding the horizon, I see.
Hey. I started to play World of Warcraft.
Ooh.
Oh.
Right.
Cool game. I have to admit, cool game. But now,
exactly.
the one and only Iron.
The guest of honor is here, so everyone in the chat, give it up for the one and only Iron, aka Andrea. Welcome. We're glad to have you here in the channel. How are you?
Campeones. I'm fine, guys. And you?
We're great. So if people don't know you yet, why don't you want to introduce?
Why do you want to introduce yourself?
Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone in the audience? That's what I wanted to say. There we go. I'm just already taken with the hype of seeing you here.
Yeah. Hello, guys. I'm Iron, Andrea Marino in Italian. If you want, you can call me Andrea only. But I prefer Iron if you want to play with me on Valorant or something like this. And I'm the winner with my team of Valorant tournament on Clash of Agents. So we won. We were the best team. Best team.
You represented as well.
Yeah. yeah. I played very good, but only because my team was fantastic, really. So I'm so happy for this tournament. Was my first tournament that I played on a stage. So was a dream. Yeah. No words. Really.
Great to hear that. And I mean, let's actually wind the clocks back a bit, just as one maybe starting question for you, because You've been, I think, in the community for quite some time now, but how did you really become a part of this community? Like, when did it start for you to actually be a part of the AGC?
Yeah, I joined Accenture like 1.5 years ago. So almost immediately I tried to search this community because before the Accenture hired me, I heard about a community, a gaming community. So when I joined Accenture, I want to search this community. In Italy, no one speak about this community, so it was very difficult to me to find this community. But we have a lot of infrastructure like Portal, Accenture Portal, or like Yammer. Now is Diva Engage, I think. So I go on Yammer and I search for this community, and fortunately I find this community. And next I join also the Discord, and I participate at various events that community offers. So yeah, like I think only because I search the community. In Italy, we don't have an opportunity to find the community without this Yammer or like something like this. So no one communicate to me that there is a community. This is a problem, a big problem, because if I want to play with a colleagues, I can't. I only can write on Teams and after the work, but it's not good.
That was the point of who
So,
reads Teams after the work, I know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At 6, my PC go off. So,
Exactly. I feel that. But yeah, how's your experience been so far? Like you've been, as said, a part of the community now for quite some time. How do you feel as part of this community? How's it been for you?
yeah, my experience in the community is amazing, really. For the tournaments, for the events, for the Clash of Agency, and I every time found great people with play that I can play with them, and also we spend all the time, not only for play. So we can speak about like an argument, we can speak about a game. So it's a general community, not only for gaming. So you can find friends, and you can maybe find friends and go out with these friends. So it's a community in general, not only a gaming community, and this is important, I think. Also, I participated at the major tournaments, so AGL also, because I'm a competitive player, so I want to play competitive, not only ranked but also tournament. And I must admit that I've never attended events of this type with an impeccable organization, and for sure it important to join this. It was important to join this community also for improve my English. I really want to improve my English and speaking with German colleagues or something like this. It's good for improve. So
Your
yeah.
English is great,
I was about to
Iron.
say,
No,
your English is
no, my English-
amazing.
No. Trust me. Only this weekend, I improve a lot. Speaking all the day English with Kate and the others. So yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, also you mentioned two tournaments that you've also been a part of, both the AGL and Clash of Agencies. So you've touched a bit upon it, but maybe going a bit deeper into it. How was that for you, being a part of AGL as like a virtual tournament that was like purely virtual, and also of Clash of Agencies, where, as you said, you then had the chance to really go on stage, really feel this energy that of all the people coming together to play this game, to play a game or play a tournament in one room. How was that for you?
Yeah, there were two beautiful events really. For AGL, I found tournament like I said before, structured and organized in a perfect way. I participated alone. I joined the tournament alone, so I was included in a team that had another like 4 people. So I found great people, not only in the game, so in CS:GO, Apex, League of Legends, and Rocket League, right? If I remember right.
Yep, exactly.
Not only in game, a fantastic people, not only in game, but also and it is important in the human field. So yeah, I have to say that we came second, if I remember right, and I won great prize. So it was fantastic also did. And I will definitely attend to the next session because I want to play again AGL. And for Clash of Agency, there is little to say because I really like the dream. I play video games every time competitive. I play Valorant competitive. I play Rocket League competitive. I have high rank, but it's really different to play a tournament match also, and especially in a live event. So I felt emotion that I've never felt in my entire life, and getting to play live was something incredible, really. With the crowd, with Kate, Torg, and Nico that was cheer, Iron was for me really. It was crying for it. I really.
Me too. Right before you started playing, I just watched everything and I was proud, and then I started to cry, and then Nico was like, "You're not allowed to cry now. You need to cheer."
Drill instructor Nico, I see.
Yeah, but the way the concentration on the stage beat the anxiety and the pressure. So we played very good without pressure. We were focused on game, and I found really a fantastic team, especially in a human field. Everyone want to help me about language, so really fantastic. And they helped me a lot also in the game. And for this, I think I was the MVP, not only for my matches, but also because my teammates were fantastic. So I need to say thanks to my teammate for my MVP. I played very good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think very good is even an understatement.
So we managed to move to the final stage in 3 games. So I think that Accenture has a very stronger player. So we need to use this power, strong player, for participate to all the tournament that we can participate, for win trophies, for participate to this fantastic experience like Clash of Fantasy. And I want to participate on another tournament like Clash of Fantasy, so in a stage not only online, virtual tournament.
Yeah, I can only imagine the experience. So,
yeah.
I mean, with your track record, being second place in AGL, first place in Clash of Agencies, I think we're gonna be excited to see your let's say future in tournaments in general, because you're not just the MVP for Clash of Agency. I think you're an MVP in general with that.
Yeah. I mean, I every time played only ranked. So AGL and Clash of Agency were, I think, the first tournaments that I play like this. But I think that I play good with pressure.
So when I natural
pressure,
talent.
I hope. But in Italy, we don't have the infrastructure to cultivate this talent. So it's really difficult. I want to change something. I can try. But it's difficult. I want to help also the community, the Accenture Gaming Community, and and I can try, because I want to help Kate, that I know all the work, and also the other team work on this project, and it's very important and help also maybe for me, for the Italy. I can be the bridge for the community.
Yeah,
we will see.
Sounds amazing. I hope it all goes well. Fingers crossed for that. I think maybe let's top it off with one last question. And we've talked a lot about it also in the podcast so far, which is the entire point of how the community actually brings value to Accenture. And the quick point for you, Kate, that question will also come your way at the end. Sorry. But first of all, maybe to you, Iron, why do you think the Accenture community actually brings a certain piece of value to Accenture overall?
Yeah, especially in Italy, it's great to know that a company that you work in also cares about your personal life and passion. This is very important. And also there are many gamers in Accenture, and taking care of them by creating an inclusive community like Accenture Gaming Community in every respect is not taken for granted. So we need to recognize that. And sharing what you love, so gaming with colleagues and friends, is something unique for me. And thanks for the community, it is possible. So yeah, this is very important for me, and surely even from outside, because I every time imagine that a guy like my age, so 21 years old, that finished the university and want to choose and need to choose the right company. Maybe he has a Accenture, Deloitte, PwC like this, and he discovered that in Accenture there is a community like Accenture Gaming Community. And for me, for sure, this guy want to choose Accenture for this thing. So it's important also for the recruiting and give to Accenture a positivity publicity. So for me, it's very important, this community, also not also for the human field, but also for the if we think about the economy field, because we need to understand that Accenture give money to a project if the project is important for the economy of Accenture. So the people, the boss need to understand that this project is important also for the economy for Accenture. And I think that the attention to well-being of every employee is fundamental. And with gaming covers a huge slice of people in Accenture and also outside. So
Yeah.
they only need to understand this.
Amazing.
Very well spoken.
I was about to say amazing words.
Very well spoken.
Thank you.
Aaron, your English is great.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we can improve. We can improve.
Nah, don't undersell yourself. It's amazing. And yeah, I think before we then top it off, is there any last message you want to say before I have one more question for Kate? Anything else from your side? Yeah, I'm teasing that question a lot. Yeah. But yeah, before, do you have anything else you want to say? Any point at the end?
Me?
Yeah.
We are campeones. I love all the prizes. We are so good, and we need to win another tournament. And I want to play another tournament. So we need to push like this. We working great. So good.
Yep. Fully with you. So yeah, I think with that, I'm excited to see you in future tournaments as well. I'll probably be on the casting side, but I'll be excited to hype you up. And thank you for joining.
Thank you.
It was really amazing to have you here, and yeah, hopefully see you around and speak soon.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye bye, chat. Bye bye.
All right. But with that, we are almost at the end of this podcast, but one question still remains. I've asked it to Iron already, so now the question comes to your point, Kate.
Yeah.
What do you think, or how do you see the value that Accenture gets out of this community, or that we bring as a community to Accenture?
Now I need to speak wisely, right?
Exactly. This is the one for all the marbles here.
Can I get some elevator music, please?
Okay, I can think of something. I found something.
No, I think Aaron already summarized it perfectly well, and again, that reflects what we wanted to achieve, right? I think what brings value to Accenture, or what the community brings value to Accenture is, first of all, the connection you can make, the relationships you build with the people, and long-lasting relationships as well. Doing something together, achieving a goal together, like the tournaments. And this is what I see with all our tournaments that we do. All of a sudden, people who never talk to each other come together, and then they build and form a relationship. I think this is something very, very unique, and that adds value to Accenture, but also demonstrating as Accenture that they are also supporting the interests of people. You see, sure, it's more and more coming now with the younger people, but esports gaming is part of people's life, especially amongst the younger generation now that's coming more and more, and it shouldn't be ignored. And you see now, a gaming community can be a decisive factor if I go to this company or not. And I think this is also another big value for Accenture. But not to forget, it is not a recruiting machine or something like that. The gaming authenticity still stands on top of everything. And I think this is what makes it so unique in the end.
Yeah, wisely spoken.
And I
can only
didn't
fully
even need
agree.
my elevator music for that.
Exactly. I think that's the crucial point as well. As you said, it's a natural experience, so to speak, because everyone here is a gamer at heart and will never stop being, I think. And I think that's what makes this whole place so special. That it's not just we do a tournament for the tournament's sake, but we do a tournament for the people's sake.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think with that, we've reached the end of today's podcast. The first one of its kind. It's been interesting. I know that whenever I go into interviews, have to get my first question ready, else I'm gonna mess up again. I know. Lesson learned for the future. But of course, this is not going to be the last podcast. So we will have them usually roughly on a bi-monthly basis. So every second month you can expect a podcast coming. Of course, here and there might be shifted around. I think the next one is planned for when, Kate?
The next one is planned for end of November.
Exactly.
So around that, we still fine-tune the next podcast, and we'll let you know.
Exactly. So for any updates, any topics, feel free to both follow this Twitch channel. At the end, once I switch the slides again to the final send-off, you'll also have a QR code if you want to join our Discord, want to get connected with us. There you'll also have all the announcements of any event that we are doing. And yeah, otherwise, any last words, Kate? Well, that sounds evil. But any last words you want to mention to the community here before we finish off the podcast? The last word should be from you.
Last words is thanks everyone for joining today's stream. Thank you for all your support and making this a great community, but also thank you to our sponsors who support us no matter what. And very, very special thanks to the team behind it. The extra mile you always go. I'm really glad to be where we are right now, and this is only thanks to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's also only thanks to you. At the end of the day, it's the team that made it happen. All of us. And we are all here.
Start crying. You know, I can
It's
be
good
emotional.
for the views. We need that. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. All right.
Okay,
With that, everyone have a wonderful night.
Stop!
What?
Wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Guys out there, we finished our tournament planning today. No, yesterday actually. We will have tournaments coming up in Counter-Strike. League of Legends will start soon, right?
League of Legends is at the end of October even, so make sure to look into the Discord for an announcement because there is a tournament coming soon.
Exactly. Followed by the Counter-Strike tournament, end of November. Then beginning of December, we will have Valorant tournament. And then we will have our very first casual tournament, Fall Guys. And
Exactly.
I still want the Golfit tournament.
I mean, we can make it happen. It will be a salty tournament, but it will be a good tournament, I can assure you.
So we need to think about how to structure it, but we'll get there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, also the last point from my side, thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who watched it. Also, my channel is also linked in the title. So if you're curious about what I'm doing on my Twitch channel for any solo streams, I've seen a question in the chat. Any solo streams of the community, I've kind of said I'll do them on my channel. So feel free to head over there. There'll actually be a stream tomorrow. Not today, last minute change, but tomorrow there will be cool streams in both German and English. But enough for shouting at my own stuff. With that, I think, as Lerok said it in the chat, thank you everybody so much for being here. And remember, we all are united through gaming.
Exactly.
Have a good night.
Good night.